Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Two Chicks with a Political Podcast, where receipts meet reality and local politics gets pulled out of the shadows. I'm your host for this evening's podcast, Nicole Kapuscinski, founder of Heads Up and the Chatter Network, also the producer for Two Chicks, Heads Up Productions, combat veteran, community watchdog, and someone who believes Madison County deserves better than backroom games, selective rule enforcement, and political insiders deciding who gets a voice. And when when she's not here with me, I'm usually joined by my co-host, Catherine Callahan, who brings her own research, perspective, and fire to the table as we break down the issues that impact our county, our elections, our public trust, and our future. Tonight's episode is part of a series that we started on Thursday. After some time, me and Catherine had talked and decided that we couldn't put all the topics into one podcast because all of them... Hold on. She sent me a text message. We couldn't put all these into a podcast anyway. So we're going to discuss the political games in Madison County, Indiana. So this is part 3. We're going to talk about the District 5 complaint filed by Russ Willis against me and Catherine. I'm not going to go too deep into Catherine's complaint. I'll save that for her when she's ready to talk about that. Herself. There are some videos on Political Spotlight. I think she did an episode talking about hers, but I have not really talked about mine because I've just been in shock the whole time that I even got this far as being able to campaign and file to run for office. So I was just happy to be in a seat. Let's see what else. Election complaints have been ignored, and the ongoing problem of political rules being used like weapons instead of standards. We'll also discuss Russ Willis' public statements under oath regarding the lawsuit connected to the attempted taking of my half-acre, and why those statements matter when the same people involved in political leadership are also influencing complaints, party rules, and public narratives. So tonight, we're also digging into the Indiana Republican Party rules. If you haven't seen them, you're going to see them here in a little bit. What they say, how they are supposed to be applied, and what happens when those rules appear to be selectively enforced against opposition, while insiders get protected. Because here's the bigger question. Are rules being used to protect the party? or to protect certain people inside the party. When people target Madison County for an easy political win, then turn around and weaponize party rules against anyone who challenges them, that is not leadership. That is control, ladies and gentlemen. And that is what I have a problem with. And Madison County voters deserve to know the difference between the two. So tonight, we're laying out the timeline, the receipts, the complaints, the contradictions, and the political games that too many people have been allowed to play for far too long. Welcome to Two Chicks with a Political Podcast and the Watchdog Chronicles, where receipts meet reality and the people of Madison County are done being treated like pawns. At least I am. I don't know about you guys, but I am tired of being treated like a pawn. I've already went to war. In 2008, I was in Baghdad, Iraq. I served this nation as a Republican, and little did I know that the Republican Party doesn't even like me. And I wouldn't even learn that until I was nearly almost 48. I was in my 40s, and it was February 2026 when I learned that they didn't want me. And it kind of saddens me because half my life I've spent thinking I was a Republican, and it might be that I'm not. If they don't like me, I might just be a free agent. Sad. Okay, so let's go over here. So we're going to get right into it. I don't know. I can see a couple people are here watching along with me. And Catherine just texted me, but it was for something else. But she's not going to be joining me this evening unless she comes on later on after 8. I know this weekend was jam-packed full of family and graduation stuff, so she might be decompressing from all the activities she had this weekend. But basically, back in, January 2026, and if we really want to get technical, if you look at the dates on Catherine's complaints that she got, they had filed, Russ Willis and them had started trying to file complaints on Catherine with District 5 before she even filed to run for office. And then I decided to run for office at the last minute. It wasn't like a planned thing. I didn't really know how all of this worked. It's not like it comes in a handbook where it tells you go here, go there, get this signature, go get your bank account started. They do kind of give you a breakdown, but it really is kind of confusing when it's your first time. And nobody really seems to want to be your friend at that point, because then you become competition for their candidates. And, I've never really been a big party person myself, but I did not know that I wasn't technically considered a Republican if I didn't pay club dues and I didn't participate in any of their stuff. Now, that just kind of blows my mind, because if that's the case, then they should have been giving us rules. Like, we should be getting rules when we're in grade school, pretty much. Basic understanding, because that's when our minds start getting shaped. By middle school, they should be telling us, okay, Democrat, Republican, here's what they stand for. You get to pick where you want to go, right? Choose your own adventure. That never happened. I don't even remember really. I think I had government class. I had history, but even the history classes don't even teach you proper American history. If it did, then everybody would have realized I was related to the Schuyler's of New York and New Jersey who helped in the Civil War, and just craziness. So I didn't know that stuff until I got way much older and I had an Ancestry.com test. But anyway, back to what we were talking about. 5th District. Okay, so Jessica Piper is Delaware County. And I want to write this down as we go, because I'm going to also be doing kind of a deep dive, because some of these names actually they're connected in more ways than just one. So you got your county, Madison County GOP, which we know of as Kelly Hewer's president. I might have to go to their website. Rick Gardner's the vice president. Nick Freeman's the treasurer, which how many people know Nick Freeman? Okay. I've done a deep dive on him, and I know that he did not move to Madison County until close to 2022. So he's in that Kyle Pierce club where they targeted Madison County for an easy win, in my opinion. Anyway, Nick Freeman, treasurer. And then within 2 to 4 years, all of them just happen to have like some type of political position where they're getting to shape Madison County's future. And I'm just not comfortable with that because they don't know us. They didn't grow up here. So to me, I always thought that a politician or someone that's going to run for those types of positions should at least understand the people that they're trying to get to vote for them and the community in which they're trying to serve or serve on behalf of. So it's been like eye-opening for me to learn that that's not how it works here in Indiana. I guess it's never really worked that way. So I don't know if I just feel naive to just, life and I guess politics in general, but that's how it is. So I guess it's okay for people to not grow up somewhere and just move and have 2 primaries and all of a sudden they're running your politics. So anyway, so we got the Madison County GOP, I think Kira Wilkinson or something like that is, I can't remember what she does. And then they have, I think Kylie Gaskell does something for the GOP. And then I do believe that Angie Abel is doing something with our local county GOP, but don't quote me on that. We can look at the website here in a minute. But I'm starting here with District 5, which is comprised of several different presidents of GOP parties for counties. So this would be Jessica Pipers for Delaware County. Darren Reese is, okay, I will figure out what he's for here in a minute. How do you spell that? Darren Reese. Okay. Then you got Kelly Hewersh. Then they never return your emails. If you got a question or you got a comment or you got a concern, none of them, nobody returns your emails or returns my emails. They might return whoever's, your emails, but they don't return my emails. They don't return my husband's emails. And my husband's grown up here in Madison County too, and he's just been mind blown by how some of these people treat me as a combat veteran. And none of them are combat veterans, but I serve this nation, and they taught me that I'm supposed to protect politicians. And no, like at this point, I'm just so flabbergasted that they train the military to help what exactly? Because now I'm like, some of this stuff is so corrupt. Okay, so I'm looking at Mario. I don't even know how to pronounce that name, but I think he's an attorney of some sort. And of course, we can't see which counties each one of these represent. So as we go, I will try to figure out who does what for what county. We know Madison, and then it looks like Jessica Piper, the one who sent me this email, is for Delaware County. Now, if you don't know the background of me and Russ Willis, then I suggest holding on to the side of your seats and bear with me for a moment, because I'm going to show you the clip of where Russ Willis lies on me in 2023. So me and Russ Willis have been going back and forth for many years, and nobody has came to save me. So it's just like we learned from Aaron Brockovich with the water situation and the environmental contaminations. Superman's not coming, okay? And I've learned on so many facets, the Army's not coming to save me. Indiana's not coming to save me. Madison County, whoever's in charge of law enforcement, most definitely isn't coming to save me. And if I wasn't a smart person, I wouldn't be here now having this podcast or even be on my property, because Hudson would have got my half acre. I would have still been paying for it. And it just was an ugly situation, but I won. So we'll get back to that. So I get this. I filed on like the 23rd of January. I get this email on Aaron's birthday. So it was kind of like a a birthday bust, basically, because we couldn't have. I was so distraught. I mean, you want to talk about trigger? I was hurt. And then I go reading some of the stuff that's in this email, which I'm going to get to here in a minute. If anybody wants to follow along or actually talk to me, I'm going to be engaging on the Two Chics YouTube channel on the live video. I'll be over there in a minute because I got to pull it up, and then I'll go show you what I'm getting ready to get into. Do you need something? Okay. Switch over here. So it really is kind of difficult to do all this on my own, but you know, practice makes perfect. And Rome wasn't built in a day, so eventually I'll get it all figured out and it'll run like clockwork. Okay, hey, Six Puppies, just seeing you come in. I guess I could pop up get my stuff going on over here. So I am on the Two Chics channel. I don't know if Catherine's going to be popping in or not, but it's kind of the same stuff. We both went through this together, and I'm actually glad that I filed to run with a friend, you know, because getting hit by something as intense as this GOP stuff I'm getting ready to show everybody, that was insane for me. And so I can't imagine what it would have been like for me to go through that alone without having anybody to talk to. Catherine was just as shocked. All the people that we had to call and ask questions. Okay, that's fine, puppies. You can come back and watch later. But anyway, if I would have been on my own, I just couldn't imagine getting through this the way that we did. And Laureen White came in to help us, and then Christopher Bilbrey. We were only allowed so many witnesses, and I didn't feel like I wanted to send in the A team, not, you know, I needed people that knew how to talk, and we literally only got like 3 to 5 minutes apiece. I mean, it was kind of stupid, and it's not even really like in a courtroom. You know, you're going in front of people that maybe one of them understands law and the other one might be a secretary. Not knocking anybody, okay? I'm not knocking professions, but you know, they're not really law professionals, but they get to make these decisions as if they are. So, okay, let me get back to my email. So the first letter, notice of hearing, blah, 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 blah. But the important thing in this letter is, maybe not this one. This is just telling me about the hearing and where it was going to be located. Okay, let's get, and this is the rule. Like, this is rules. So mind you, I had not seen any rules of a Republican Party ever. I mean, and I've been voting Republican in Madison County since 1998 or 99, around that time. And I've never seen Republican Party rules. And it's probably because they change so much between whoever wants to write them that it's not even funny. Okay, here we go. Now, you guys, whenever I try to do anything, I get animals crawling all over me. I got a cat jumping on me. I'm sorry. I got to try to get him away from me before I get going. He was already jumping in my chair. Okay, back to hearing guidelines. So, you know, they have all these strict rules like this. Within 45 days, the hearing must be held within 45 days. Okay. Why is it that all these other people get to have their rights had? I guess, you know, they get to have, in 45 days, they're supposed to have a hearing. Well, what about my 45 days? What about, okay, I'm going to circle back to that because I have several complaints in at District 5 right now that I'm going to show you as we progress in this podcast, because I filed 5 right around this time. And I have one for Kelly Hewer donating to the Friends of Madison County, which is an organization that gives to both Republicans and Democrats. But based on the Republican Party rules that they just tried to enforce on me, she violates the rules by donating to an organization that helps Democrats in elections. And then 2, I'll have to go to, okay, let's go back to this. I'll have to go to my Facebook, and I don't want to jump off this this screen just yet. So I'm going to keep getting back in the lane on the hearing guidelines. So respondent shall receive a copy of the complaint with the hearing notice. Okay, I did get one in the mail. It came a couple days later, so I got the one in the email first. The officers may question any of the participants in the hearing at their discretion. Okay, yada, yada, yada. The hearing is closed meeting of officers and their invited guests. No media will be admitted to this hearing. Okay, I don't know if they did that on purpose so that we couldn't get a bunch of people in the room. And we did have the parking lot full. I don't know if any of you guys saw the videos from the day of the hearing, but we had a party in the parking lot. Democrats and Republicans showed up to support us. Okay, so it wasn't just one-sided. We got a lot of friends and a lot of followers and people that care about, you know, what happens to us. So we had all kinds of people in the parking lot. We got a picture. They said we weren't allowed to have certain things. They said we couldn't have our phones in there because they know that we might try to record the conversation. But Russ Willis had his phone, and it was supposed to be, you know, the same rules across the board, but then you got Russ Willis in there playing on his phone. So how do we not know that he didn't record something, you know? So it is what it is. Okay, the complainant and respondent must identify in writing the district committee chairman, blah, blah, blah. Presiding officers may appoint sergeant at arms. I get that. The only person admitted to the hearing will be those identified by the complainant and the respondent as representing or testifying on their behalf and persons selected by their officers. Now, when we go into my complaint, because I'm going to pull the complaint out, and I'm going to go pretty much through each one of the things that he said that I did wrong, okay? And this is just kind of laughable, and I'm sorry, I probably shouldn't laugh. But he used my Facebook posts against me. And, you know, I've been in so many courtrooms, and they always tell me when I say stuff, well, so-and-so said something about me on Facebook. You know how many times the judges laughed at me when I said that so-and-so said something about me on Facebook, and there was nothing I could do about it? But then Russ Willis waltzes in here and totally uses everything that I've said. Well, not everything, but a good, I don't know, 25% of my posts. He used some of the words that I said against me in this complaint that you're going to see here in a minute. And he used, well, we'll just keep going on this. I don't want to squirrel. So this was, okay, this goes at, okay, yeah, let's look at this one. So name of complainant, Russ Willis. And for those of you that don't know, he is the former, what do you call him? Former president of the Madison County Election Board. So he has ignored more election complaints that I have filed than anybody else that I have an aught with. Okay. He did it for nearly 5 years and got away with it. And the only reason why he got away with it was last year they had him step down, and I think it had something to do, and don't quote me on this, but they probably made him step down because they knew that his goose was cooked by all the people that had the complaints in, and all of our complaints wound up getting ruled moot points, which I think is crap. I think that anytime someone commits a crime, especially election crimes where they repeat them over and over and over again, even if they're supposed to be the one in charge of the elections, they should be getting in trouble. So he didn't get in trouble, but the moment that they smelled my filing, and they wanted, okay, so I filed for two things in case people didn't know this. I filed for the Madison County Council District 2. That was my practice run. It was Steve Sumner's old seat. Diana Likens sits there now. Mikhail Vaughn wants it. Okay, fine, whatever. I didn't care if I won or lost. I really didn't. I just wanted to figure out how it worked. Then what I really wanted was one of the delegate positions. And I didn't even really push it that hard because I was sick for most of the campaign dealing with a tooth infection, which is going to be pulled Tuesday. It's going to get extracted Tuesday. So anyway, anybody following along with that, that should be over here soon too. But I didn't really push the delegate position as much as I did the county one, but I wound up winning the delegate slot. I was one of 8 delegates in District 2 that's going to get to vote on who's going to be the Secretary of State on the ballot for November. And I can tell you who I'm not voting for, and I'm not going to be voting for Diego Morales, and I'm going to show you all the reasons why. Yeah, a lot of people didn't, 6 puppies, a lot of people didn't know I was running for 2 spots because so many people don't understand how all this works. I have to be honest with everyone, I didn't understand how all of it works either. So it was like when I would try to tell people I was running for county council and Indiana delegate, they would look at me like a deer in headlights because most people have never heard of what a delegate is, what a delegate does. And quite frankly, I don't even really know how to explain it. But I maybe after this is over in June, I'll have a little better understanding. I could pull up definitions, but the gist of it is I'm going to get to vote in June at the Republican convention on who is going to be representing the Republican Party in the general election in November. And I'm not voting for Diego. And I'll show you, he's actually in this complaint and they lied. And I'm going to show you how they lied as we go forth. So, oh, this one's not even filled out. Okay. This one's not filled out. And here's the other issue I have with people. Like, this is wife and husband email, and this is AOL from like 90s. These people don't want to get hip with times. I didn't even know they still had AOL. Okay, I'm going to skip that. You can find her addresses if you want. All you got to do is look up the assessor stuff. Okay. 6 puppies is saying, I think I didn't see you on my ballot for 2 spots. I think so, puppies, because I was District 2 and for the delegate, and I believe it's a little bigger than the county council spot, but yeah, it's not by much, but yeah, I think it cuts off right at the bottom of County Council District 2, which kind of runs along White River. And it goes from Delaware County to Hamilton County up into Perkinsville, which is where my ancestors are buried. And I have like 7 or 8 generations buried at the Perkinsville Cemetery. But back to, so the rule that they tried to say I broke, respondent has repeatedly supported Democrat candidates in violation of State Party Rule 125. Now, do you know what Rule 125 is? Anybody? I sure as heck didn't know what it was. Okay, let's pull that up real quick. So let's go here to Google. And then I'm learning about the data centers, and Google has its own data center. And I'm just, dude, everything I do seems to be surrounded by tech. And it makes me kind of sad to think that building a data center could make people sick in the surrounding area. Okay, let's see if I can get to the website. No, that's not what I want. Obviously I've been there. That's how you can tell I've been somewhere. It's purple. If I haven't been there, it's blue. Okay, that's a PDF. I don't really want the PDF though. Let me see. Well, I wanted to go to the website, so in case any of you guys want to look this up. Let's see. Oh wait, this might be national. Okay. I think that's national. Okay. And a few things kind of saved me on my complaint because I went with constitutional right. I have a constitutional right to support people, and I have a constitutional right to express myself. And it might not always be the way that somebody else expresses their self, but nonetheless, I am allowed to say I'm not hurting people's feelings. I was just sharing posts from veterans, which I'll show you that in a minute. I think this is it. Okay, yes. All right, so if you haven't seen the Republican Party website before, this is it. Looks like Indiana.gop about our party. So I had to do a crash course in this because, believe it or not, I had never seen Republican Party rules before. Nobody handed them to me. I didn't even get Republican Party rules when I signed in or filed to run as a Republican. That would have been a pretty nice time to hand me the rules so that I could start obeying them. But no, I had to find them on my own, because when I go back to this email, I'll show you. They didn't give me no links for where to find the rules and how to decipher what rule number 125 was. Take action. And I do have an email out to these guys right now about how to file a complaint with the state, because my other complaints aren't being heard. So that will be, as this kind of storyline plays out, that will be on another podcast, because I won't be able to cram everything in today. So this is the other thing. They changed these rules as we were going through this process, okay? Because I have one that I saved that was from January, and then I think there was another one that that was from like September of last year. So these rules are constantly, it feels like they're constantly changing. And I'm gonna, yes. We should get one when we sign up to vote. You know, if they want us voting in their primaries, which some other arguments have been coming up here lately where I've seen that we, the voters and the taxpayers, should not be paying for the primaries, for these party primaries. And I'm kind of leaning that way. Because if they don't want us, like a regular Joe Schmo next door who wants to, vote as Republican and has since 1963, and if he wants to be a Republican and he's voted Republican, and then for somebody like that to find, no, like that'd be my mom. Pretty much all my family that's voted Republican in Madison County would not be considered Republican per these rules. It just blows my mind. Okay, so let's pop up these rules. So there's a preamble. To further the rights of its members okay, here's the other key factors. This is an organization, okay? Like 501c3, I forget what theirs is. Maybe it'll pop up here in a minute. They might be a 4, or they might have their own category altogether. But this is interesting. So I just became a member. I don't even think I've paid the state dues, but I did pay something for the June. And I would be willing to pay into this. And so for them to be mean to me and then try to act like I'm not turtle enough for their turtle club is just disheartening after I served this nation as a Republican. And I really didn't care if you were Republican, Democrat, Libertarian, Independent. I didn't care about LGBTQ. Like, I didn't, when I was sitting there and they, signing everything and, raising my right hand and swearing an oath to the Constitution, it was to protect we the people from, domestic and national terrorists, like protect us, emphasis on the domestic part. So I didn't ask if it was going to just be the white people. I didn't care about that. I still don't care about skin color or where you're from. That just doesn't, it's not one of my things. I make friends based on how nice they are and if we get along and just this little conversations. And I have a lot of friends from all generations, from all kinds of cultures and backgrounds and walks of life, religion, everything. It's just not my thing to be judging people based on like their political affiliation. So this bothers me that I got judged based on it right out the gate. So freely to associate to achieve goals of the party. To achieve goals of the party. This is one of starts red flags for me, because we should be achieving goals as Americans for our state and for our nation, for our counties, our townships and cities, not for a party that may or may not care about voters. And that's another story for another day. Indiana Republican Party State Committee adopts the following rules. Okay, wait until I show you who's on this committee. Okay, and some of the backstory that we're getting ready to get into. So, okay, so it does tell you complaints. Okay, I've done all this stuff. Felony conviction. Okay, we'll come back to that. I'll circle back to that one. All right, so here we go. Chapter 1, general provisions. I'm not going to read through all these. I just want you to understand that there's a whole bunch of rules you've probably never seen before. And the Democrats have them too. So you might want to go check. If you're a Democrat and you're watching this, then you might want to go check your Democrat state party rules as well, because you'd be surprised at some of the stuff we found in this. Okay. And here we are. So Russ Willis being, let's go back over here real quick. This is what we're talking about. Russ Willis supported Democrat candidates in violation of State Party Rule 125. Mind you, Russ Willis, also supported Democrats. He signed off on more Democrats to run as Republicans than anybody else in the history of Madison County elections. He signed off on at least 14 different Democrats to run as Republicans, and now they're all sitting in their positions. They'll probably argue that, but I have emails. I can show you where I got my information from. Hold on a second. I have a visitor in the back. It's a cat. His name's Wally, and he is climbing all over my stuff. So I need to put him out of the room real quick. Just hold on. Oh, okay, I'm back. So I live on a hobby farm that I call the Spring Hill Growstead. And I have my own kitty colony. I have dogs. I have all kinds of little things that I take care of. So coming to my house and hanging out and visiting is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. But I think it's always fun. Unless there's chores to be done. Doing chores is not fun. Okay, so here's this. So what they were trying to do when they filed this complaint is they were trying to get me bumped from being a delegate, because I couldn't wrap my head around why they would go to District 5. But then when you look at some of the wording in this next spot, the next page, okay, no, it's going to be the next packet of pages, then it kind of tells you a little bit why. But they were more concerned about me being something in the Republican Party for the next 10 years than they were about me running as an actual candidate for the county council. And I believe it's because there's a whole bunch to it. There's a long story, so I won't go into details. But, here. So, I don't know if you guys want me to read all this to you. I don't have my notes here, but basically everything I'm about to show you is fabricated, okay? I can prove it. Obviously, I was able to prove something, or my people were able to prove something for me at the hearing, and I was able to stay as a Republican in good standing. But let's get to it. So, during the 2020 election cycle, Nicole publicly endorsed Libertarian nominees. Okay, during the 2020 election cycle is when everybody turned their back on me. okay, I was getting hammered by my next door neighbor who happened to be a Democrat, and he was trying to steal my half acre, which I'll go into that, and I'll show you some other stuff if we get enough time, because we're already like at 40 minutes out since I started. So I might have to come back and go into detail, but let's see what we can get through. So Hodgson tried to steal my property. I was filing complaints left and right, and they were getting ignored by none other than Russ Willis. So here we are 6 years later. Russ Willis is now filing a complaint against me, but not for what everybody thinks it is. I can't answer anything on Facebook right now. So if you're watching on Facebook, you'll have to jump over to the YouTube channel. And let me get the banner going that shows you how to get over here. Here we go. To engage the audience. So if you want to talk to like Six Puppies and whoever else is on the thread on YouTube. Did I see Karen? Okay, I see Danny's on there. Hello, Danny. So if you want to have conversations with some of the other viewers, or just talk back and forth with me when I can, then jump over here to the two Chics. And this is what it looks like, just so you know. So I can talk to people over here on this side. This isn't here on the YouTube channel. It's just here on this one, the one that kind of shows everybody what's going on in this chat on the podcast. So let's get back to, where was I going? Back to the rules. Right here. The term Republican in good standing shall be defined as a Republican who supports Republican nominees and who does not actively or openly support another candidate against a Republican nominee. Now, mind you, I had not received any rules either, so I had no clue that what I was doing was wrong or bad. I was supporting another veteran who I had done a lot of activism with. I've been doing activism in Indiana since like 2013. I've done a lot of really cool stuff. You can go through my pictures and my photo albums on my Facebook if you want to see some of the stuff I've done. I've stood at the Indiana State House and got all kinds of stuff, laws and rules changed to help us. We got, and then I'll get back to this. One of the coolest things we got to do was get the window from when a sexual predator gets out of jail. He had, like, it used to be 72 hours before they had to sign in. We were able to get that closed to before they even leave the jail. They're supposed to get registered as a sex offender. So that's one of the, I worked on that earlier in like 2012. So I guess really 2011, I started doing things at the Indiana State House. So anyway, back to this. I supported a veteran that I had advocated with for many years. Let's see, what else? Libertarian nominee for governor, as well as 2 Democratic candidates and another Libertarian. Okay, so in the 2024, acknowledging that she was not in good standing. I don't even know what in good standing meant. So this is party mentality. Like, I don't know if he had stayed in power so long that he just automatically assumes that everybody knows what this means. But I had no idea what not in good standing meant until 2026, right? And then, let's see, in the 2020 election, promoted federal Democratic candidates for Congress, and within 48 hours of announcing her intent, she shared a post supporting a Democrat running for Anderson Township. Okay, he is they're talking about Obadiah Smith Jr., and he is a veteran who happens to be like a, what do they call them? When they're the preachers in uniform. So like, I can't even think of the name of it right now because I'm trying to get through this. But Obadiah Smith Jr., that's who he's talking about. I said he was a nice guy, right? And I got punished for saying that Obadiah was a nice guy and that any of my Democrat friends should vote for him. That was hurtful, because then what? So now I can't support a Democrat who also served this nation, because some rule in the Republican Party book. Thank you, puppies. Chaplain Obadiah Smith Jr. was a chaplain in the military, okay? And I do believe it was Army or Army National Guard, but either way, he was a chaplain. And so he found me and came to introduce himself because of the Veterans Coffee Club. And so then I run a network of 20,000, 30,000 plus people. And I just don't look at somebody and say, okay, I'm not going to let the Democrats post in my groups today. No, I let everybody post. You know, some things get ridiculous, but it's not about political parties. Some people are just, they post weird stuff, and then I let the group decide if they want to keep those posts or not. But either way, I don't make a rule of political stuff. So this was hurtful. So I had to learn a lot of things about people this year that I don't know. I don't know what to say about that right now. But, okay, so I publicly attacked the incumbent state representative who is seeking re-election. Oh, and now he's talking about Kyle Pierce. Okay, so I publicly defended myself from Kyle Pierce. I have publicly talked about him because he has said some things, done some things that were very rude, and I'm allowed to defend myself. I thought that was the whole premise of some of the constitutional rights we have, that we're allowed to defend ourselves. I didn't hurt him. I didn't curse at them. Well, we might see some of that in here, but anyway, no, I didn't attack Kyle Pierce. Kyle Pierce and Chloe attacked me before I even knew who they were. And they were attacking me back in 2023, and I'll get to that here in a minute. Or it might have to go into another episode about that. But no, Nicole did not attack Kyle Pierce. And this is just another way of them being, they're trying to play the victims. They're not the victims. Kyle Pierce and Chloe and Nagnos, I can't even really say her name, they didn't move here until the pandemic. They got their house September 11th, 2020. Okay, so technically, Kyle shouldn't have ran because he didn't have the two primary rule, which that's Russ Willis's big thing. He bumped Catherine off of the ballot once because of that. And now, come to find out, so Kyle Pierce is allowed to run for whatever he wants as long as he's buddies. Well, basically, anybody who's buddies with Russ is allowed to do whatever they want. And that's what we learned with Diego Morales and Kyle Pierce and Kenneth Hodson, who is a Democrat. So essentially, Russ Willis supported Kenneth Hodson trying to steal my property. Okay, I'll show that video here in a minute. But Nicole has been barred, and this is the other thing. Nicole was barred from the Madison County Republican. Okay, now this is getting ready to be hearsay, folks. This is what they call in a court of law hearsay. Okay, Russ Willis was not here. He did not witness this. So pretty much all these little things that he has in here are all hearsay, and they're all fabricated and based on lies. So much so that I got banned on their social media for saying that they don't strive to bring unity in between the Republican women in Madison County. Me and some of the women had some, disagreements off screen, behind the scenes, but harassment of its leaders, no, they started it. Don't start fights with people in the community. How about that? And then I don't go out of my way to do anything to the Women's Republican Club. So they voted, and I have, they cannot show you, and they cannot show you what I said. The email we're going to look at here in a minute is pretty messed up because that email should not be in this complaint. So Chloe Anagnos and her husband, Kyle Pierce, weaponized the rules of the Republican Party, and they used them against me and Catherine in February, and nobody cares. Nobody cares that they're writing the rules as we go and using it against people, apparently. They supposedly, you got Kyle Pierce wanting to be the next Charlie Kirk, and you got his wife, who's the Timu version of freaking Erica Kirk. And no, sorry. Not flying with me. They shouldn't have targeted Madison County if they wanted me to be friendly. I mean, there's a reason why, you know, combat veterans, we're here to serve and protect. And they got so many red flags around them, it's not even funny. So anyway, I don't harass city council members. And so the other thing is, the city council members tried to file lawsuits against me because they were trying to keep me out of the city council because they don't like the question. That's viewpoint discrimination. And even the judge, Angela, Sims, sided with me and said that they did not have evidence. So for this to be in here is ridiculous because they had no evidence. I am not harassing people. And the conversation or the argument that is being referenced right here, we caught on camera, and the city councilwoman tried to shut me up and tell me to go sit down. The same day that her husband, county auditor, was online victim shaming Steve Sumner's victims, yada, yada, yada. So nobody targeted the wife of Representative Kyle Pierce. I did not target Chloe. Chloe started banning me and doing things to me before I even knew who she was. Okay. Personal attacks, professional and personal attacks. No, I'm talking about you. If you guys don't want to be talked about, then don't get into politics. Okay. Nobody is attacking her professionally and personal attacks. I'm defending myself because my Facebook did get shut down. 5 minutes after I got into an argument with Chloe and Agnos and Kyle, and that day on July 6, 2025, Kyle Pierce started that fight. He got on Facebook and started talking crap to me and Catherine. Then he pulled Chloe into it, and Chloe wants to believe that her bylaws in the club supersede the Constitution, and I do not agree. So 5 minutes after fighting with them, I get labeled as a terrorist. The label of terrorist. You know, want to know who told me that Meta went rogue and this really highfalutin possibility of what happened? None other than Kyle Pierce. So whatever, you guys, this hearsay. I'm not attacking anyone, and I'm they got on the radio last week talking about me. So I'm not allowed to talk about them. Only they're allowed to talk about me. See, it just whatever. She has attacked 3 of the 4 members of the Madison County Central Committee on Social Media. Yeah, because I don't even look at it as attack. I have asked them to hear my election complaints, and they have ignored me. And what happened when we started? When you file a complaint, you're supposed to have a hearing in 45 days. Why am I not getting hearings? Why have none of my complaints been adjudicated? These are the people that are in charge of adjudicating complaints, and they're not doing their jobs. No, it's not like I'm getting ready to show you proof. Okay, matter of fact, here is what Russ Willis did in 2023. Mind you, my lawsuit was not for election complaints. So why they would try to throw that in there and try to say that my complaint was covered under my land dispute case is beyond me. The two go hand in hand, and I can't tell one story without telling the other. But here is President Russ Willis bold-faced lying.
The complaint that we have is referenced, let me find the previous minute. This is a second complaint regarding a residency dispute with Kenneth Hodgson, who was a Madison School Board candidate. And we dealt with that at the July 8th, 2022 meeting. And the complaint was determined that it is not an election board issue. That complaint was actually resolved in the court a couple of weeks before that July meeting. So this is a repeat complaint. We will not be acting on it, and we will notify her of that.
Okay. Yes, it was a repeat complaint, but they never notified me from the first one. So he's allowed to lie. The Indiana code states that the clerk, which at the time the first one went in would have been Olivia Pratt, who is now Commissioner Pratt, was supposed to send me a letter after they decided what they were going to do so that I could have it in front of me, read it, and understand what happened. They are not doing that for me. They are not letting me have a piece of paper that says, no, this was against the law and shame on him for doing that. No. So what did they do? They'd rather violate my due process of law, which even the Indiana Constitution says that I have rights. And the Constitution says that I have rights to fair treatment and due process of the law. That is not happening for me in Madison County. Okay, so I don't care what these people say about me. If they don't want to be talked about and they feel like I'm harassing them, it's because they're doing something wrong. They're not listening. They're not trying to help get to the bottom of situations. And I have all kinds of evidence that shows that they're the aggressors. So that's what makes them mad and why they tried to bump me off the ballot. Okay, so next. Okay, targeted the wife. I didn't target her. No. Keep going. I don't even see. Why don't they name? She has attacked 3 of the 4 members of the Madison County Republican Central Committee. I think Chloe is on that Central Committee. No, they are not victims. Chloe is not a victim. Chloe is mean. She is a mean girl. And she should leave people alone if she doesn't want people to defend themselves from her. Okay, so I'm about to show you some other stuff. So additionally, she has made repeated unfounded accusations against the Madison County Election Board and has resorted to personal attacks against both Republican board member and county clerk, who is a Republican. No, because county clerk, I just showed you. Here, in this video clip right here, did you see Linda Smith jumping up and saying, hey, whoa, we need to give her a hearing. We need to hear what she has to say about this case and not take Russ Willis's word for it. And I don't think this is Tim Lannon right here. Okay, I can't remember who was sitting here this day. But either way, they don't let me have due process. Let me see.
With a copy of the July minutes.
Basically, to clarify, it's already been dealt with and what it amounts to.
Yeah, it's not within our jurisdiction to deal with.
Yeah.
So basically, Kenneth Hodson got away with committing election crimes in 2020. And just so happens that same year, Kyle Pierce had residency issues, and so did Diego Morales. So no wonder they didn't want to look at it, and they still don't want to look at it because they don't want to admit that they did anything wrong. And nobody's coming in to investigate it. Whose fault is that? Not mine. I'm the voter, taxpayer, ex-military, having to obey every single law, jot and tittle of something. You know, I can't even fart without one of these people making a fake complaint about me. So there's that one. Back to this one. So, okay, if Nicole has a pattern of harassment, then why are they not getting Nicole in trouble with the courts? Let that sink in for a minute. Misconduct and open defiance of party expectations. No one's ever given me party expectations. So, you know, if Chloe is who you want, then you can have Chloe and Kyle. But don't forget, you know, that I almost took a bullet for everybody, and my willingness to serve this nation as a Republican, and I don't even get credit for that from any of these people. So, yeah, we don't get along. And Linda Smith used to be a Democrat too. So, you know, you want to get technical. I'm dealing with people that were once Democrats turned to Republican. And so, of course, we're not going to get along because their core values are not Republican, but their core values are not Christian conservative. Okay. If they were Christian conservative, then we wouldn't be here having this argument because we would have been able to sit down like adults and have a civil conversation. I mean, come on. Anybody who met Catherine Callahan, and if I can sit down and have civil conversations with her, even if we have heated debates back and forth with one another, at the end of the conversation, we can agree to disagree and move on, That's what these people need to be doing, but they don't want to sit down and argue with me or debate me because they know that I'm right, and all of them are ignoring my election complaints. Kyle Pierce ignored the one with the my absentee ballot getting stolen. So, I mean, come on now. Her actions are not mere policy disagreements or expressions of differing viewpoints. Okay, says who? Russ Willis? They constitute willful and, by her own admission, malicious efforts to undermine the values and the rule. No. By my own admission, no. I have never said anything such of that. Malicious efforts. So they're trying to paint me like maleficent or whatever because I disagree with them. So this is the route that they want to go. And they're willing to lie, cheat, and do whatever to get there. That's not my fault. So here we go. So September 11th, the same day that Chloe and Kyle purchased their house in Madison County, I was supporting a libertarian. Well, I didn't get rules, and I hadn't been too primaried in. I didn't even know you had to take 2 primaries to be a Republican. It's quite sad. So some of these are cut in such a way that it makes it appear as something else. But let's not forget, Chloe supported libertarians. We got all kinds of websites of her going on there. So why is it okay for her to support libertarians? And she wasn't even a Republican in good standing until 2024. So this email I'm getting ready to show you and all these, what they're saying I did wrong, it looks like it comes from the GOP, and it doesn't. And then I'll show it. Lana Kiesling even said that I had not been determined a Republican in bad standing when I contacted her after it. Okay, I'm going to have a mixed ballot. Okay, you know how it would have stopped me from having a mixed ballot? If the Republican Party would have been nicer to me, I wouldn't have had to make posts like this. But up until this point, in October of 2024, they had already helped cost me nearly $100,000 in damages. And they want me to play nice. No, like I am playing nice. I'm being an adult as much as I can. Sorry that they don't, if they can be brutally rude and brutally like deceptive, I'm allowed to support who I want, and it shouldn't matter what they support. So Fred Reese is a good person. Rebecca Crooms of crimes. Rebecca Crooms is a good person. I wasn't sure of who I was going to vote for. Yeah. And I think my third one, you know who I voted for? Christy Grabowski. And look what she did to me at the election poll on April 25th of 2026. She allowed electioneering to take place. She participated with Mikkel Vaughn on that. So not my representative, but we do need balance. That's the one thing that I learned from this whole experience is being all red leadership and being from every single different type of Republican that you can get, that's not fun either. And I remember helping them achieve that goal and voting for all the Republicans that got into office. And then now I've learned later that some of them weren't even true Republicans. They used to vote Democrat. And then you want to wonder why everything's messed up. And here's this. So this here has been cropped. Okay. This one, this is of, let's see. This is when I shared, no wonder I can't get Diego to do an investigation. He is a corrupt as they come in Indiana. This is 2025. 5 years of election complaints. I gave him the benefit of the doubt, ladies and gentlemen. I gave him the benefit of the doubt. I looked him in the face last year or the year before. He shook my hand. He played nice with me, and he never listened to any of my complaints. I even resent the complaints to him to see if he would help me, and he still didn't help me. But he did go to India with Raju for You, and they were selling visas. in India while he was supposed to be on the clock as the Secretary of State. Whatever. And this post had been cropped. Some of the stuff was cropped out of it. And then they want to go reaffirms her endorsement of Democrats and openly admits to not being, see that there again, not being in good standing. No, you guys, they tell people I'm not in good standing with the Republican Party because I endorsed 2 Democrats. They were the better candidates than the ones that they had in front of us. So I'm not sorry about that. That should be protective speech, protective actions. But no, they have party rules. And okay, political nepotism. I'm sorry, but I do not like political nepotism. When you have 3 family members in some of the highest positions in the county, and then you want to go downtown Anderson, just, anybody, walk downtown Anderson and you try to tell me if it's safe. Tell me if it's safe. Go try to walk on some of the Madison County trails that they're trying to promote. And there's one, go down there by Dossett's Garage, maybe wait until sunset and try to walk down through there. Walk down Edgewater Park or go on the boardwalk over by the Anderson jail and tell me if you feel safe. I mean, shoot, we had one guy, I believe Ken Kaczynski's friend, was up by the courthouse walking around playing Pokemon with his phone and his kid, and some guy came up and took his phone, and he wound up shooting him and killing him. Okay, Jackson Franklin, I got in trouble. Jackson Franklin is a veteran. Okay, so now once again, he's a combat medic. So now I'm being told, and I do the Veterans Coffee Club where I'm supportive of my battle buddies, past, present, and future. And I do not care what their political preference is, because if they're willing to lay their lives down for me, or, vice versa, then I don't care what their preferences are. And I really like this progressive Democrat. I don't even really truly understand what progressive Democrat means. I'm still learning all this stuff. I didn't even know that even existed until, and here's why I shared it. The crowd. Okay. And some of it, you can say goofy, whatever. Okay. He draws crowds and the people seem to love him. Number 1 in fighting against tyranny, do not comply. Whatever. I like Jackson. He's a good person. And I should be able to support someone. I'm not going to vote for him in the general election or the primary election. Obviously, he didn't make it through the primary this year, but I mean, I should be allowed to share a post on Facebook. It doesn't mean that I'm Democrat. Okay, right. The Republican Party is not aligned in Madison County. It's not aligned in Madison County. And I don't know what to tell people. It's not aligned in Madison County. If Madison County Republican Party was aligned, then why am I having this podcast right now? Why are we talking about this? Because I still haven't been heard. My complaints have not been adjudicated. They cannot tell me with 100% certainty that Kenneth Hodson, what he did in the 2020 election, was legal. Okay, so we're going to still fight over that. And then it comes down to, guess who supported him as a Democrat? All these things they're throwing at me in this little complaint here also sticks to them. So Russ Willis shouldn't be in good standing. Kelly Hewer shouldn't be in good standing. Michelle Daniels shouldn't be in good standing. And neither should Linda Smith. Because if they really cared, they would have had me in their election board meeting or had a hearing. They would have talked to me like an adult, and we could have had a civil conversation, and they explained to me how that what has happened to me in Madison County is legal. They can't do that. That's why they're not going to. They're not going to have a hearing because they know that it's wrong. So we need somebody from the FBI, or we need somebody from DC to come in here and step in these elections and tell us what's going on. So I'm the distraction, and I'm going to keep going. I'll stand 10 toes on it that I'm more Republican than some of them. Like, I was willing to run into a war zone for these people, and they wouldn't even piss on me if I was in fire. Pardon my French. They don't listen. Diego is not listening to his constituents. They're the ones bullying me. You don't see me and 5, 10, 20 people ganging up on all them. No, it's never been that way. It's like they get one of them, and then there's like 5 to 10 of them that gang up on the person that they want to target. And I guess I'm the local most hated by all of them because I stand up for myself. He has done nothing about the election complaints involving Republicans. And in fact, he wasn't even a legal citizen until he joined the Army in 2007. And he did not deploy with his unit in 2008. I deployed with my unit in 2008. I didn't get out of my deployment. And he just happened to work at the Indiana State House. And then he didn't do his whole term either. So this is the one, I shared this, and right after I shared this, okay, he banned me. Or not, he didn't, because he has a whole crew of married men that go around doing stupid crap for him. That's why they've all been in trouble. You can Google all the things that Diego has been in trouble for. So me just being brutally honest, yeah, I wouldn't listen to what Diego Morales has to say about anything. And we have tyrannical political nepotism dynasty ruling us here in Madison County, and nobody bats an eye about it. Blah, 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 Diego. Oh, yeah, the coin. He gave me a coin. It's in my pictures, my photo albums. He gave me a coin, and just so happens that the taxpayers paid for it. So that was not like, there's an article about it that he spent like $8,000 to $9,000 on these coins to hand out to people, and it wasn't even his own money. Okay, keep going. See, I get emotional. I got 9 more to go. Oh yeah, because I said, well, he didn't serve his whole term, and he, from what I understand from his DD 214 or whatever document I saw, and I'm not going to pull it up right now. Okay, 3 months, 18 days on active duty. 3 months and 18 days on active duty, and he bypassed deploying. Okay, you ask any soldier, that's I don't even think, let's see what the national definition. I think that's the other issue too. The national definition of veteran has always been that you have to serve over 180 days to be considered a veteran. Okay. Maybe it's the VA definition. One of them. Plus, this stuff's already changed by now. But I know in 2016 they changed it. You're not even on my screen with me. Right there. I know in 2016 they changed the definition for Indiana. But up until 2016, some National Guardsmen wasn't even considered veterans because of the way that they served. It's just sad. So a lot of people, National Guard veterans, don't even get the same types of benefits that active duty soldiers do. Let's see. VA definition of a veteran. It only defines a veteran, any person who served on active duty, active military. Even at that, I think there's a certain limit. I think it's like 180 days. Okay, this one. Entered active duty, minimum service requirements. Law generally requires to have served 24 continuous months of active duty or the full period of which you were called to order. So technically, some of them only served like 180 days of active duty. So see, there's a lot of issues with how that goes. So I won't even go into that. But yeah, that's why I said that, because I was under the impression that he served full term and he didn't. He went 7 years. And then I don't know what happened. They don't talk about that in the news. Oh, here's the post. A good candidate in Anderson for my Democrat friends. I have a lot of Democrat friends. Oh, there you go. I have a lot of Democrat friends that I grew up with. And so I was just recommending him. I still think he's a nice person. No, I don't attack. I'm not attacking the party, and I attack the people. And I don't even attack the people. It's constant. Oh, this is my favorite one. I got in trouble for sharing Bob. This is Bob. Bob's a moderate independent. He researches various sides of issues and thinks independently before forming his views. That way, Bob feels good, not blindly marching in lockstep with tribal clans, because he knows the two major parties divide us to stay in power. Be like Bob. So what is this? Why am I showing you this? Because the Republican Party is divided and they don't want good people with them because they have agenda. They have an agenda. And I obviously don't know. I'm not turtle enough for the club, but I'm not going to quit just because somebody that's not from here comes in and wants to decide how to dictate who a Republican is and who it's not. And they were also writing the rules at the same time. I shared this one made Kyle mad. So I think that's why all that stuff got into the, got in this, right? So you can tell, even though Russ was the face that went through this, filed this, Kyle, Chloe, and Diego and them, they helped him, okay, because they wouldn't have got this information without them getting mad at me. And I'm sorry if you write stupid bills that hurt people in Madison County. We're going to talk about you, Kyle Pierce, Chloe Anagnos. Okay, now Chloe ran for a delegate and I beat her. Okay, so that's probably why she was talking about me last week, because her feelings got hurt. She got beat by me. Well, leave me alone. People actually like me, Chloe. So anyway, I shared this. Hold on, I'm gonna just give me a minute, but read through some of this. This because I got in trouble for this, so there must be something really good on here that we need to be paying attention. All right, I'm back. So yeah, I mean, anybody could go look up his record. I just shared a post. Oh, I like her too. Blythe Potter seems nice. She's a veteran. I shared, whatever. Part of what I do in my events groups is I share events. I don't want to say socialite, but I kind of am like a socialite. I'm like a social butterfly. I love to host parties and events and do things with people. And so, I didn't know that you couldn't share I thought this was a cool idea. Pancakes and politics. I mean, it's like my pizza and politics event that I had in 24 with Catherine. But anyway, back to, she's a veteran. So I have an issue with being told that I can't support a veteran who happens to be a Democrat. Okay, I have a problem with that. And it doesn't make me a veteran, or it doesn't make me a Democrat because I'm showing support at all. But whatever. People can clearly tell when they talk to me that I'm not necessarily a Democrat. Okay, what's this one? Oh, it's the same thing. They just reshared something. Okay, Libertarian Party. Forget what her name is. Libertarian Lori Shillings. I just shared. I didn't even post anything here. And you can't see where my arrow is, but I didn't even write anything on that, right? Like, come on. I know it's blurry. It was blurry on the page. Like, they weren't trying. And because this is petty. This whole complaint was petty. They broke more laws than me, and I'm getting ready to show you some stuff on top of the Russ Willis thing. Oh, okay, here. That's what the GOP, Madison County Women's GOP. I seriously thought at that point that the Republican Party had kicked me out. I was hurt. But guess what? The Madison County Women's Republican Club and the Republican Party of Madison County or the state of Indiana are not the same. They're two different organizations, right? So she can say whatever she wants about me and her women or their women's club. And because I can show you all kinds of things that they say and do that will make your head spin. And especially when trying to violate someone's constitutional rights to stand at a podium for 3 minutes, that's crap. I don't care who you are. What side you choose, that's crap. We should be able to stand up there. And they've cost me a lot of money. Rachel Landers is the one it started with, and then it just trickled around because everybody was trying to protect Rachel. Well, she shouldn't have been out taking photo ops of homeless people because homelessness is not a political platform. Homelessness affects everyone equally. It doesn't care about your color, your creed, your religion, your mama, your daddy, your whoever. It don't care. It will hit us all equally if that is what happens, right? It's like it's not prejudice when it comes to picking whatever. It doesn't even pick. We make bad decisions and we become homeless sometimes. And sometimes circumstances happen and it's accidents. I know people that, whatever. I don't want to get into that. That's a different podcast. But it gets me emotional because it shouldn't. I shouldn't have been bullied by these people. They should have just left me alone. And we could have already settled it by now. But they don't want to settle it. So let's see. And I can go through all kinds of those. Let's go over here. We'll go back to when it started. Okay, so here. So I put albums. This is from the 2024 election complaint, exhibits A through I. All right. It's my cousin's mom. I love Miss Judy. Okay, so what procedures must the CEB follow? I mean, what is the point of having Indiana codes if nobody has to follow them but me, right? It don't make no sense. So election laws, Kenneth Hodson and Russ Willis. Open door law. In July 2022, when they had this meeting, I should have been notified of the meeting. I should have been in there and got to speak for myself. Because I'm going to show you that the actual Indiana Election Board agrees with me that if an election crime occurred in 2020, then it should have been investigated and they dropped the ball. So you want to know why Brad King and them quit this year? I think I can pretty much rule some things in that was coming down the pipeline. And I told them back in December of 2025, because I'd been arguing these points for 5 years, 6 years, 5-6 years, that they were wrong. And when the stuff starts crumbling, they're going to be in trouble too. And now they're not here no more. You know, they stepped down this year. Well, nobody wants to hold people accountable. Okay, so he made the decisions. Here's the other thing. More formal Robert's Rules of Order. If you don't know what Robert's Rules of Order are, I highly suggest that you go figure it out. So if you ever want to speak at a podium, that you understand what the terms mean. And actually, I suggest for everyone to get the Robert's Rules of Order for Dummies. Okay, it breaks it down. You can find stuff on Google. You can Google it too, but Robert's Rules of Order are very important. So when I pick through all these Indiana codes, County Elections Board authority is exercised by majority vote. In that video, okay, in this video with Russ Willis, he doesn't even let them vote. He just tells them what happened, and they just go along with it. Like, oh, well, okay. No, that's not very nice. So 2 major rules of every county election board. So this is where I started learning that what we see is judicial type proceedings related to elections. So they give the Madison County Election Board power, and I'm talking power, even if they do not have a law degree. Michelle Daniels does not have a law degree. And that too. Yeah, okay, here's a good point. 6 puppies brought up. Everyone is 1 check from homeless. I mean, pretty much, if something happens and you don't get a paycheck, you could lose your house in a month. I mean, it is sad. So the open door law was violated. I can't get anybody to listen to me. And I'm not harassing anyone. I'm stating facts. So if facts are now harassment, we're in big trouble, Madison County, America. If me stating Indiana Code 4-21.5 is harassment, then I don't know what to tell folks, because I'm not harassing people. I'm just quoting what the law says, and they're not following it, and nobody's enforcing it. And I have, okay, that's a good one. I'll show you guys. Get a little bit of excitement up in here. Where's the screen? Okay. Let's see this. So I'm on my original. This heads up is my original channel that I started with. Oh, I got all kinds of stuff on this one. This is the one where they let Russ Willis in, knowing that there was all these complaints on him. And okay, in 2025, the Madison County Election Board finally answered me. Okay, that's our 2024. So let me see. Is that right? Did it click the right one?
That didn't go through this.
Hold on. I don't think it clicked the right one. So this is when I got crank anchored by Michelle Daniels.
John, hi, it's Michelle Daniels with the election board. I started to text you a bunch of stuff, but it got to be so long. I thought, this is ridiculous. I need about only 5 minutes of your time, but it would have been the email and text it was just too much. Because I want to tell you how I think that the best way to approach this. I want to see what you think.
And I say crank anchored because she wasn't supposed to call me. She thought she was calling the attorney. And so I was so mad. But this is how I found out that they were having a meeting about my 2024 complaint about the complaint system and about Hodson and how all of them were participating. So I'm not sure how it's harassment to force them to do their jobs or ask them to do something other than ignore me.
So I'll be here all night. And if you want to call me tomorrow, it's fine. My number is...
All right. I shouldn't pick on her, but you know what? She is not. I don't know why anybody would put this woman in power. And here's one where she says, hold on.
She went where she was sent by her Uncle Sam.
Okay, moving on. Anyway, That was the text message I sent back, and I told her not to call me. So we don't get along very well. That's why I'm like, I don't even want to file another complaint with the Madison County Election Board because they're not going to do anything. Okay, where was I going? Back to photos. Oh, no, I'm on the YouTube channel. Oh, I got squirreled, you guys. All right, it's probably when it's time for me to get off here then. When I start squirreling like that. I'll start winding down the podcast because I could go on this subject all night. I'll come back to talk about it another time. I mean, it is like, this is just like an intro. I mean, I guess everyone is an intro because I don't know who's watching and who's not. You got to try to get in as much stuff as you can. Okay. So I've been violated. I don't know what to tell folks. Oh, yeah. And he wanted to build. So Hodson lives right here. Okay. What was that other one? Okay. So this is my property. Here's the White River. This is Range Line Bridge. Hodson lives here. He owns all this property to number 6. I own all of this property right next to number 6 and right next to this number 5. Okay. When he sold this property back in 2004, he put a fence around an acre and committed real estate fraud. But because the statutes and limitations for real estate fraud in the state of Indiana is 5 years, and I don't know why nobody else figured out that half acre was over there, but I did. And when I took it back in 2019, and then he wasn't even living here. That's why he didn't know until like almost 2020 that we had taken that half acre back. And then he wanted to sue me because I wouldn't give it to him. Well, I don't know anybody that'd be handing somebody a free half acre. And if they're handing out free, I know, Danny, I've had a big week. I'm so sorry. I'll get with you in the next 24. I promise. Oh, hey, Karen. Oh, you did just get in. Okay, look, my buddy's here. Yes, Danny, thank you. Don't forget to hit that like button. From the time of notice, real estate fraud. Okay. I don't know. I've had so much stuff happen since then. I thought that it would have picked back up the moment that he tried to pull this crap, which would have been December 2019. And from my understanding, they said 5 years. So the 5 years was up in 2009. And so they would not go back and charge him for real estate fraud, which is upsetting because he was okay, I see. See, I tried to tell him that I didn't even know that it happened until 2019 and 2020, but they weren't listening to me. They didn't care what I had to say. And this was the clarity when first recognizing issue. Yeah, no, we went through this. We argued about this property for 2 years and I won. Okay, so this is what it looked like when I moved in. Okay, like, do you see a fence in here? There is no fence right here. I mean, you can, when you get right up here on this pole, you can see that something goes this way, but does this look occupied by anybody? And he tried to pull squatter rights, and it's like, you are not a squatter, buddy. See, and I really did think that, but they weren't falling for it. But I think it's because he was a politician too, and he ran for office that year. So there is a hidden gate there. There is a hidden gate in there. Let's see. And then this is when he first pulled up. I got to tell you guys a funny story. It might not be very funny to you, but as a combat veteran, me and Aaron, it was a bad day. And I can't even remember what I got triggered about. And it might have been because my mom was sick or something along those lines, but I remember being really, really upset that day. And I walked out and got in between, like this white fancy vehicle pulls down the road. It's like a one lane dead end road that I share with like 5 other properties. And I got in front of him because I was like, I thought it was the FBI coming for me finally. I was like, yeah, they'd had enough of me. I'm done, Aaron. I'm going out there to greet them. And so then I figured out it was this old couple. And then as soon as they introduced themselves to me, I knew what they were there for. And if you can see here, everything's cleared out. So we went from this in 2019. We bought the property June 5th, 2019. We got it July of 2026. So we're coming up on the anniversary of us getting this property. And by the time he showed up, we had already had the property cleared and we were using it because we purchased it. And then if you guys really want to get into some details of the case, I got a whole bunch of stuff on my Facebook. Dude was living down in Tennessee. He hadn't even voted in Madison County since like 2015. Okay, here's one. Here's a good one. So around the same July time period, I had also filed with the state, and this is Brad King, the guy who just stepped down. Angela Neusmeyer, I don't know what she's going to do. She's very quiet puppet type person. But anyway, Section 2, the co-director's note, the complaint or grievance, if true, may involve election fraud. So even the state of Indiana agreed with me, you guys. And I filed this one's June 2022, May 2023. So it's not like I'm not filing. They just don't like to respond. Should have took that out. There's a couple articles, and then that's how I proved it. I proved that he didn't even vote. I pulled his voting history, and it shows. And I even tried to pull this up in court, and my attorney said it wasn't the best idea because we weren't dealing with voting stuff. It was separate. It wasn't the same type of case. And so why did we want to go talking about election stuff if we're talking about a property case? And in the end, the judge said that if we would have went with what I told him to go with in the first place, then Mr. Hodson would have been in more trouble. But we didn't. My attorney didn't file the right stuff, and it was like $25,000 in attorney's fees later. And I finally win. And let's see. The jury sided with me, and I stood my ground against Hodson and their complaint for adverse possession, which is squatters' rights. And the jury sided with me, and they wanted to give me $40,000, I think, for I can't remember why, but it was like the attorney's fees and then to pay back all my debt because he put me in debt. And people were making fun of me a few weeks ago, and I had a miracle. And I got a miracle from the VA, and I was able to pay my debt off. So it's kind of cool. Just stand your ground. That's all I can say, and do a lot of prayer. So in conclusion, and then so after I got this in July of 2022, you would think that they would have listened, but Hodson tried to say that we took care of my election complaint in the court. Well, if that's true, then why isn't it included in the conclusion? And I think you can still see these on my case if you want to go look aside from me. But there is no evidence if there was a change in the amount of tax payments made by the Hodsons after September 10th, 2004, and what significant that change, if any, has on the question of reasonable belief. The court finds that Hodsons failed to show by highly probable evidence that their belief related to tax payments was reasonable. So I won, and that was January 2021, January 6th, the same day that the Capitol was stormed. And then Hodson decided he wanted to take it to trial, and the rest is history. But I won. I still got my half acre. I still have my half acre over here. And it looks great now. Well, maybe not great, but it looks pretty good. So back to, I'm not making up stories. I spit too much truth out and I don't like it. I think that's what all I'm going to do for tonight. I'll come back on like my next couple podcasts because we got to come up with stuff every week to talk about. I'll end it with this one so that you guys understand how mad I am. So I deployed to Baghdad, Iraq in 2008. We were deployed in February, March in Kuwait. We got to Baghdad by May. Poo hit the fan. Pretty much I was stalked by ISIS. I don't know what I can say, what I can't say, but in the end, they wanted to extract me, and I was not extracted in October 2008, though. I didn't get extracted from Baghdad until December of 2008, and then I went straight back to Mannheim, Germany, and I wasn't released back to the States until around June 2009. June 5th, 2009 is my anniversary, so that anniversary is coming up pretty quick, too. And so when I figured out something, I think it was I was looking at Mr. Hodson stuff, and then I realized, hey, I'm going to go research myself. And so I go research myself, and this says that I walked in October of 2008, which is impossible. I could not have walked in there. So I got a hold of Kyle Pierce. This is my first interaction with him, and he did get me this paperwork. So I will say that he did get me this paperwork, but they did not help me figure anything else out past that. So all I have is a name. Oh, yeah. So I'm looking at my notes. I love leaving me little Nicky notes. That's what I call them. So this right here shows Nicole Schuyler, 5/29/08. Yeah, Schuyler. Okay, I'd already changed my name. You can totally see through that. So that sucks. I might have to take that down and go back. Anyway, okay, back to real 2008 signature. I don't know what I'm saying there. But my email did get hacked, so I wouldn't even have known some of this stuff. Okay. Precinct, Anderson 2-1. That's important for everybody to figure out what precinct you live in. General, full ballot. I don't know. This stuff is hard to read, but it does say my ballot got canceled. Canceled due to application being canceled. See, I don't know. They pulled some fast ones. This is why it's important to know what's going on. I think they should be putting in we should be seeing this. We should be able to see like what we vote at all times. Or at least that we voted, even in the general elections. So Jay Waymeyer 1 is the name on who canceled this ballot. And I do believe that the one that they say it could have been is dead now, which sucks. He would have died last year or the year before. He was an older. I think he got up in his 80s or 90s. But he wasn't in 2008. He wasn't that old. I mean, he was older. Maybe he messed up. Maybe he didn't. But I find it highly suspicious that several people have issues with their 2008 ballots. Absentee ballots. They had my wrong birth date. This is not my birthday. This says 5/28. That's not my birthday. So anyway, Go check your ballots. Indiana voters.in.gov. And it should pull up if you've, well, all your information should pull up. It's just nuts. So anyway, Kyle got a hold of this stuff. He did nothing with it. He said that it was an accident, and I just don't believe it. I think there should have been an investigation. And I know we can't take back presidents, but I think that somebody voted for Obama using my absentee ballot, and I almost got killed in a war zone, so I'm still a little disgruntled about it. So with that, I think I'm done, guys. It's almost, I don't know if Political Spotlight comes on tonight, but we'll be back on Thursday, if not before. I might do some side quests this week. There's a couple topics that we've been talking about. So, yeah, I might do some side quests this week. I don't know if Catherine will be on Thursday. It just depends on if her charts, she has to do charting or not. Thursdays are her busy days, and it's kind of hit and miss. And she's just been really, really, really busy here lately. I know, I didn't want to vote for him. So, yeah, so Thursday night we'll be back on, or I'll be back on. I don't know what we'll be talking about. Oh, no, I know what we're talking about. Thursday, we're going to talk about the election board hearing on Friday, from Friday. Lots of good stuff we found that I've been clipping on this weekend. So we'll be talking about that on Thursday. And then I'll just put this topic on the list, and I will elaborate some more on the D5 complaints. If anybody wants to check it out beforehand, I do believe I have all of them in an album. I call Kyle Pierce clickbait Kyle, because when I went to go Google him not too long ago, all this Charlie Kirk stuff was popping up, and I'm like, what? He is nothing like Charlie Kirk. But a bunch of people jumped on Charlie's bandwagon after that happened, and no, Charlie Kirk would have come to a resolution with me in a debate. I do not believe that he would have taken it to such extreme lengths that Kyle has, because me and him actually had a lot of things that we did view the same, versus I don't know what Kyle, I don't even know his foundation, and some of the stuff I see him doing is not what Madison County wants. Okay, hold on, I'm trying to find this. Maybe this one's it. Is it? No, that's Ryan Traub, because he was stirring some stuff here lately. Water park on the MPL. Okay, this one. So Russ tried to jump in my group. I kicked him out. You can't be in my group if I can't be in your stuff. So I got a complaint in. So this is what I'll end on. I'll tell you about all my complaints that I'll be doing a whole podcast episode just about the fact that they have not answered me. It's been more than 45 days, and I should have had a hearing or a response, and I've got nothing. But these guys have donated to a organization that helps Democrats in elections. So why aren't they in bad standing? Russ Willis violated Republican Party Rule 125. Former Madison County Republican chair donated to Democrat electing group. Republican Party Rule 125. Republican official is not in good standing if they financially support Democrats, help elect Democrats to office. So we have 14 former Democrats in office that call themselves Republicans, and he helped. assist Democrats electing organizations. So they haven't listened to that complaint, and it's pretty good. Then I got, who is protecting the Republican Party? Madison County Republicans are real Republicans. When Republican Party chair signs off on Democrats running as Republicans, the voters lose, the party loses, the truth loses. Honest candidate certification, real Republican representation, transparent elections, party rules followed. A Republican chair should not support Democrats running as Republicans. Send me the link, Karen, and I'll read it. I'll check into it. And Danny, if you're available tomorrow, let me know what time you're available tomorrow, and I'll give you a call tomorrow if you're still on here. If not, then I'm going to be calling Danny tomorrow. Okay, let me back out here. So, I think these are just miscellaneous. I thought there was like 5, but this is a master complaint, pattern of retaliation, selective enforcement, Madison County Republican Party, formal complaint filed with Indiana Republican Party District 5. They've ignored me. Individuals referenced: Russ Willis, Kyle Pierce, Linda Smith, Chloe, Rachel Landers, Diego Morales, Todd Culp, and Jennifer Culp. Rules for me, but not for thee. Equal enforcement is the foundation of party integrity. 11th generation American Melungeon, Nicole Schuyler Kapuscinski, who's your veteran voter and candidate. Well, now I'm a delegate. So this one I filed on Kyle and Chloe because I feel like they weaponized the Republican Party rules because she wasn't a Republican in good standing until May 5th primary. So in that email in 2024, she wasn't even a Republican in good standing yet, technically. Okay, Danny, I'll probably get with you right after lunch, probably around 1:15 or 1 p.m. And I'm actually going to make a note right now to call you. I'll put it on my little sticky note, so when I wake up in the morning, it'll be on my schedule. Okay, you get a big sticky note. Okay, so anyway, I got like 5 complaints out to the, oh, here's a good one. I showed you all that stuff. Yeah, they did. I shared something from Kindle and Casey show, and look, so they totally took out what was there and even the description. So if you have to alter the things to, filing a complaint against somebody, what's that say about the person filing the complaint? They're a liar. Russ Willis has a history of lying. Let's see. So this is, you guys can come and check us out. I have stuff on Google Drives. Oh, okay. So this is the thing I was talking about. So let me get the bigger one so you can see it. I feel like they weaponized these rules against me. So 2/16/2026 complaint I filed. Oh, I am a Republican in good standing. Indiana GOP Platform Committee, Party Integrity. So Kyle Hupfer at the time was the chairman of the Indiana Republican Party. Kyle Pierce. So he was writing rules, and his wife wasn't even a Republican in good standing when he started helping write these rules. And look who this is. Down here at the bottom, Darren Reese. Hi, Darren. He's from Grant County. So, I wanted to write that down because I was writing stuff down to go into look and research some more and then have more information for the next time when we come back. So, Darren was on the D5 committee that ruled in my favor back in February, but they labeled Catherine as a Republican and in bad standing or whatever. And to me, and I'll end with this, Catherine B. Callahan is one of the most compassionate human beings that I've ever had the pleasure of meeting. She is charismatic. And is she right 100% of the time? Probably not. But 95% of the time, that woman is right. And I try to disprove her a lot and can't. And so I think the one thing that I've learned is that a lot of people pick on Catherine, and I'm collateral damage because we're friends. But I truly do love her like nobody's business. Breonna Davis, too. They've become like my family in the past couple of years, especially once my mom died. I feel like Bree's like my little sister or cousin, and we just have all kinds of good conversations. And Catherine's just a good people. And so I really hate they did this to us, but it is what it is. So that's kind of how Two Chics was birthed or founded. And it's one chick in good standing and one chick in not so good standing. But to me, she's in good standing because she's my friend, and she behaves more like a Republican than some of those other women do. Catherine is she's worth all the fire. Yeah, she's really good to me, you guys, and I cannot say one bad thing about her. Maybe I could if I really wanted to, but I'm not gonna. No, she's my friend. I love her. So, all right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back this week. And Danny, I will get with you tomorrow around 1 p.m. So, you guys, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for supporting us. Thanks for keeping us motivated when we felt like giving up. And we're glad you're all around. We love you guys, and shalom.